outside man-to-man coverage. 4th and 3, game on the line. Williams loafing one for a dude. He caught it! He caught it!
Kamara in at tailback. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns. And now 6. Tied for the most all time.
You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pigskin Project, episode 163, where we're going to be talking about the Bills and Dolphins today. But first, before we get to that, Matt, how are we doing?
Hello, chat. I'm officially a champion on this podcast. It was pretty cool. The Thunder closed it out in 7 on, what was it, Sunday?
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty cool moment. This is a pretty cool, like the Halliburton thing was a real bummer for, I bet, casual fans and for Pacers fans. But for me and the Thunder, no apologies. Win the championship. That's all that matters. So, yeah. Swing the rock to Ben.
Yeah. Well, great feeling. We can all say again that this year we all experienced that wonderful, the bliss, the almost emotional high that you get from it. It is such a great feeling. No, it is great to be with you guys. We pushed it back one day because we didn't want to compete with the NBA draft. It just wasn't. It was not worth it, and we were all too invested in our team selections, anyways. But I'm doing great. Ryan, how you doing?
Chilling, ready to talk some ball. I miss football so much, and I think that we're in probably as deep as we can to the off season. But it's exciting. I mean, the training camp dates were announced for the Bears, and I'm thinking about it, but I don't want to be committed, I guess, to it. I'd like to, but I don't. I'm leaning towards probably not going this year, which kind of is a bummer. But nonetheless, I'm taking it as like a little bit of optimism, just because it's like we're that much closer to where training camp's coming up, and we're good now. So that's what's keeping me going. But I think we should probably tackle weekly news right about now. And Ben's got all of the highlights for the squad today.
Oh, yes. So we'll start off with kind of the only signing that had happened this last week and a half. Shaq Griffin just signed with the Seahawks. He's going back to where he started his career. Just a couple weeks ago, we talked about the Seahawks and how much of a need it is for them to find another, starting outside corner. I'm wondering if that fills in the gap there, or at least changes a little bit of what we feel. How do you guys think?
It's going to help him out a little bit, but
Maybe he makes the team.
Fair enough. Moving on to what would have been, at least in me and Matt's eyes, kind of the most obvious news that had broke. But the news that had Ryan very, very excited. Aaron Rodgers said that he was going to retire at the end of this year. Ryan, how you feeling?
I'm so happy, dude. I'm so happy. Like, it's just... It's like you remember how in the Wizard of Oz they all started singing when the Wicked Witch was dead? Like that's my brain right now. You know what I mean? Like after this season, I could finally look back on it and just be like, wow, that was an incredible career. Go and not do this anymore. Thanks. I'll take Joe Flacco all day though. You know what I mean? Like that guy's still good. Nah, I'm playing, but Aaron Rodgers, man, I'm very happy about that, but even more so, I need to go to this Bears-Steelers game at Soldier more than anything. I think the last hoorah of Aaron Rodgers at Soldier, where the Bears are supposed to be the better team, if they can just end it on top of that old man, I'd be pretty happy about that. Matt, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I thought his comments about how he's like, when I retire, I want to stay out of the public light was kind of the funnier one to me, because this is a guy who's like very in the public eye and tries to push himself in the public eye. If we don't forget, there was a dispute with the Packers is because he wanted to host Jeopardy during the week and just skip practices and film sessions. So, yeah, I mean, this was expected to me. Of course, obviously, he had to make an announcement on Pat McAfee, as he always does for all these things. But that's what it is. Like, yeah, you're one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but you're also 40. So, yeah, let's give someone else a shot.
Agreed. Well, speaking of the Jets too, before I forget, it sucks that we had just covered the Jets last week, and then like immediately after the podcast the next day, CJ Mosley just announced that he retired. Does that change y'all's thoughts on anything that we talked about in on that Jets episode last week?
They cut him, so it's weird. But there was always like this, like, oh, maybe he comes back for Aaron Glenn and like leadership. So I like intentionally kept it out, and then yeah, like you said, he retires the day after. So I mean, it's a marginal move.
Yes, agreed. The Bengals just re-upped their contract to stay in Paycor Stadium, so they'll stay there for at least another 10 years. And alongside with that, they also agreed on $350 million worth of renovations. I know it was a conversation the three of us had about them, like maybe they're moving, but all is right. You know, the Bengals belong in Cincinnati, and I do think it's about time that the stadium gets a little bit of a revamp. But
It's a beautiful stadium. Like, I want to go there one day. But you know, renovations are always cool.
yes,
I don't know.
Matt.
Maybe they had a dome. Who knows?
Oh God, I hope not.
It's just gonna be like every stadium's gonna be a dome at some point. Like at this point, like this is where we're gonna be. Everything needs to be some kind of a controlled environment. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Buffalo purposely did an outside because they want to be like, when it snows, we want to have the advantage.
Yeah.
No, nobody has an advantage.
It was really cool how they did that, by the way. I'm like really excited to see how that stadium turns out just because of all the snow and everything, the way that they can, I guess, manipulate that inside the stadium for like the crowds and stuff. Because I think there was like a specific like heater that they implemented into that to where like before it even hits the seats, it's going to be melted. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. For a Chicago guy, I'm like, this is great. Like, amazing stuff, man. Yeah, this needs to happen now, but, whatever.
I am team firmly anti-dome, by the way. Like, not for all. Like, I am like sure.
I'm very
like,
pro dome.
Domes are cool, but like when I think of football, I think of football. I think of football weather, and a part of that is like Bears weather, Bills weather, or even like Eagles. Like, you can't tell me was it fun to watch that Eagles-Rams game in the snow. That was awesome.
No, I disagree on this take.
No.
I know your take is like, it just
We
makes
won.
a bad product. It just makes it bad to watch. It just makes bad football.
Dude,
Like, that's
remember the
kinda my-
Browns and Steelers game and
Yeah,
like the snow
yeah.
that was horrible? Like, that's where my mind goes with it. Like, I get where you're coming from because like it's cool that we only have like a couple snow games per day, or not per day, but like per year. Like, I get it.
The
but
only like snow game I remembered that I liked was the Steelers and Bills when Le'Veon Bell touched the ball like 40 times, and Le'Veon Bell for like a 3-year stretch was my favorite player. So it's like,
Do
what
you
was
guys
the
remember?
stats?
Do you guys
Sorry.
remember the Bills Patriots snow game like a couple years ago, where like they couldn't like I think Mac Jones threw like 3 passes because
the
of
wind.
The wind.
No, that was the wind game.
Oh, my bad. That was like
He
hurricane
threw
force
one
winds.
pass.
1 pass, not even 3. That's fun. I don't know. I like that. It just throws something. I don't know. It throws something
Dude.
different. I like it, but I don't know.
I really hated that snow game, by the way. Now that I'm looking at the stats, like I totally bet on Najee Harris to do more, and Warren was the leading backer with 11 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
I very vividly remember us being like, we set the bet and we were like, surely each back will get 5 yards per quarter. And then
Oh, I
Najee,
do. Yeah.
Nick
and then
Chubb was the
Najee,
one who hit it, and Najee
yeah,
didn't.
Chubb hit it and
missed like one
Najee
quarter.
didn't. I know, it was tragic. Um, uh, and then the last bit of news, we really don't have to dig into it. We can dig into it if you guys want to, but for conduct reasons, and I'll kind of leave it at that. You guys can do your own digging into it if you guys aren't caught up on the situation. But the NFL has suspended Justin Tucker for 10 games. That's if a team was going to even sign him. He was unsigned at this point. Anyways, I think his career's done, but the NFL did officially suspend Justin Tucker 10 games for his off the field conduct issue that he ran into while getting massages. And that's all y'all need to kind of know to kind of get the issue that had kind of came up from that. But we can kind of leave it at that unless you want to talk about it.
Yeah, no,
All
I think we
right.
can.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start off with our predictions for this week. But Matt, talk to me about the Dolphins, man.
Talk to you about the Dolphins. What did I say to you guys?
This was fun.
on chat. This is a team that reminds me of what it must feel like to not be a Saints fan, to not like consume Saints media all the time, and kind of look at it from a outsider's, like, where the hell is this team going? And that's kind of my take on this team after looking at them. Like 2025, we could start with the last season results. They were 8-9. They were second in the division, and the Jets and the Patriots finished with top 7 picks, so second in the division wasn't hard to attain. Their offensive EPA per play was in the negative .040. Which was actually tied for 22nd with Carolina. And Carolina had their own struggles, and I remember at the end of the year, Bryce Young was having a renaissance, but he was just kind of being average. So that's kind of where they were last year, and they missed Tua for multiple games. Their pass block win rate was 28th. Their run block win rate was 26th. That makes sense. Their offensive line is really, really bad. But their defense was a surprising, plus. They were 8th in defensive EPA per play, negative .023. Their pass rush win rate was 39%, which was 17th. And their run stop win rate was 30% and 18th in the ranking of the league. And then this is why I researched the quarterbacks. Tua, if you look at any underlying metrics on Tua, he's like a top 7 quarterback. Like his EPA per play in 11 starts last year was .2 flat, which was 7th. His success rate was 53.2% success rate, tied for second with Joe Burrow, behind only, I believe it was Mahomes. So that's where he sits in the realm, and then you get into his time to throw. His time to throw was 2.3 flat, which is first of like any quarterback who started more than 10 games. So any real starter, he was leading the category by far, and that's the eye test with Tua. Like, Tua's the ultimate eye test quarterback to me. That you understand why we have him ranked so low in any ranking, because when you watch him, it's just, this is fake. And then I researched Huntley just to really put into perspective, because their offensive EPA per play being 22nd, but Tua being 7th. Tyler Huntley, of guys with 183 snaps, because he played that, he had a EPA of 36th out of 44. Spencer Rattler was behind him. Jacoby Brissett was behind him. That's kind of the tier he was. And his success rate was 41st at 39%. So very, very bad. And then you get to their offseason. They didn't really do much in the keeping department. Tyrell Dodson, off-ball linebacker, 2 years, $6 million. Liam Eichenberg, 1 year, $2 million. He's kind of their swing guard center. Kind of weird thing. He was a tackle out of Notre Dame a few years ago. Kader Kohu, who is kind of their most experienced corner if they end up trading Jalen Ramsey. He came back for $3 million. Benito Jones, their nose tackle, came back for $2 million. And then Bradley Chubb took a pay cut after he didn't play a single snap in 2024. He had what injury did he have? Did he have like a knee injury, something like that?
Yeah.
But then you get into their free agency. Their high-tier free agent was James Daniels, who barely played for the Steelers last year. 3 years, $24 million. They're trying to find guards. They're trying to find guys who can play offensive line for them. Zach Wilson was their second leading free agent that they signed. $6 million for 1 year. Fatou Melifonwu is going to play safety for them. 1 year, $3 million. Nick Westbrook-Akine, 2 years, $6 million. He had like 9 touchdowns last year. Ashton Davis, 1 year, $2 million. And then Larry Borum, swing tackle, backup, 1 year, $2 million. Their draft, I included some day 3 picks because they only had 2 first-day picks. Kenneth Grant, obviously, they stayed put at 13. Took him. Jonas Savanier, they traded up 11 spots, and they traded away their 3rd and their 4th, and they kind of swapped 5th rounder. They kind of swapped their 4th with their 5th. They maneuvered their 4th and 5th, like 9 spots-ish, to go and get Jonas Savanier. Jordan Phillips was a defensive tackle I like. They got him in the 5th round. Ali Gordon, I like him. Some people differ. He was a top 100 player for me. They got him in the 6th round. And then Quinn Ewers. Why not? Throw him in here. Hook 'em horns. And then you get into their quick departures. Teron Armstead retires. Javon Holland walks to the Giants. Robert Jones played 1,000 snaps for them at guard. So you're kind of supplementing a guy you draft in the 2nd round and James Daniels to take all of those guard snaps and be better, frankly. Jordan Poyer, I think he retired. He hasn't signed anywhere. Emmanuel Agba, 700 snaps. He played a ton of edge. Like him and Deshaun Hand both leave. They played a ton of edge this year, but that's also because Jalen Phillips got hurt in week 4. Bradley Chubb, I mentioned, didn't play. So they have a good edge trio, losing those guys. And then Calais Campbell, we talked about, he went to the Cardinals. And then you get into... I had to throw in a new thing here. I had to throw in holdouts because Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith are holding out right now. And there's a world where one of those 2 guys or both of them get traded in the next few weeks. Jalen Ramsey played 1,000 snaps and Jonnu Smith played 600 snaps. And then I get into my season outlook question. How impactful does the defensive line and Bradley Chubb and Kenneth Grant, their rookie, and Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips have to be to negate what the secondary is? I'm going to share my screen really quick just so I can kind of present what their secondary is right now.
It's Storm Duck. He is a starting outside corner for them right now.
Yes. Their secondary right now, Storm Duck's an outside corner. Cater Coe, who's going to play the nickel. If you just X off Jalen Ramsey, you're immediately slotting in Jason Marshall Jr., who's a rookie out of Florida. They signed 2 safeties in the offseason I just mentioned for, $1 million or $3 million each. Both of these guys combined, Ashton Davis and Fatou Melifonwu, combined for less than 500 snaps last year. And they're going to start for both of them. Cam Smith is a swing and a miss, but he might have to play. Artie Burns was good in Pittsburgh for a minute. But that's kind of where we're at with this team. So it's just interesting to see if they trade Ramsey, it's going to A, cost them money, and B, just limit their ceiling of what the secondary can be. So, again, I ask, where are they going? What are we trying to do with the Dolphins? And they don't draft well. Maybe Dante Trader Jr., Jason Marshall Jr., someone gets on the field and plays at a competent level that you're saying, okay, we found a guy. We found a guy in the secondary on a cheap contract, but it's hard to really, you're out of options. You're limiting your optionality down the stretch, and secondary is the one. I mentioned secondary so many in these questions because secondary is such a volatile position, A, in, play, and B, in injuries. You get secondary injuries up the womb in this league. So if all of a sudden you trade Jalen Ramsey and Storm Duck, your outside corner is now going to miss 4 weeks. You just got to throw someone at the problem and hope it figures out. I don't know how this team is going to survive the season. But let me stop rambling and let's get into the prediction.
I'm actually so glad though that like that was your season outlook question, because that was exactly where my head went when I look at that roster. And Kenny Grant, I mean, he's a rookie. What can you expect? But for me, again, I really do think so much of that success that you're going to have on the defense relies on those three specific edge players in Jalen Phillips, Josh Robinson, and Bradley Chubb to stay healthy, which Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, given freak injuries, haven't really shown the ability to be able to do such. But if they stay healthy, how much of an impact can they have? Because if they're healthy, that might be arguably the best rotation of three edge rushers that you have in the entire league.
Yeah.
It's just, it's difficult. I don't know. I'll tell you this though. James Bradbury is still a free agent. Maybe they can go out and sign that guy.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started with our predictions. We'll do
just a heads up. The teal, it gets cut off, but the teal is road games. The white is home games. So just for anybody watching later on YouTube, just keep that in mind.
Yeah. All right. So we're just going to go row by row. It's left to right. So, there's a lot of primetime games for this, by the way. That's the first thing that I'm noticing for this team. I mean, what is it? 6 of them. That's a lot for a team. So, anyways, first row, I'm going to go week 1 loss to the Colts. They're going to beat the Patriots. They're going to lose to the Bills on Thursday Night Football. And then they're going to beat the Jets on Monday Night Football to start off 2-2.
I have them beating Indy. I have them beating New England. I have them losing on Thursday Night Football to Buffalo, and then beating the Jets on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have them actually opening up the season on an absolute scorcher. Dolphins fans are going to be so happy.
Playing.
Yeah, because they're going to start out really, really happy because they're going to win all of these first 4 games against the Colts, Patriots, Bills, and Jets. I don't know why I had them win against the Bills. You have to have some of those games in there just over the course of the season, and it just kind of felt like it could be one of them. But I do have them winning the first 4 games. So you're opening up the season very happy with how it's going to look.
Next row, week 5, I have them beating the Panthers, losing to the Chargers, beating the Browns, losing to the Falcons, 4-4.
I have them losing to Carolina, losing to the Chargers, beating Cleveland, and then losing to Atlanta. So we're lockstep at 4-4, but we got there in different ways.
Ah, there you go. I have them losing these 3 games against the Panthers, Chargers, and Browns. Again, just as I did with the Bills, I'm going to have them lose against the Browns. You kind of just have to throw them in there. But I do have them picking up the victory against the Falcons. So I have them starting 5-3. Again, very happy for them thus far.
And then for the third row, I have them losing all 3 of these games as well. So they are 4-7 going into the bye. Matt?
I have them losing the next 2. I have them losing to Baltimore. I have them losing the season series 2-0 to Buffalo, but I do have them beating Washington in Madrid. First ever Spain game.
I didn't think about that. I forgot about that. Yeah, it does. I have them losing those first 2 games against the Ravens and Bills. Or actually, I have them losing all 3 games against the Ravens, Bills, and Commanders.
All right. And then the fourth row, I have them beating the Saints. I will have them lose to the Jets. I'll have them lose to the Steelers. And then I'm actually going to have them lose to the Bengals as well. Yeah.
Well, I do the Bucks and Pats too.
Okay. And then I have them losing to the Bucks and then beating the Pats. So 6-11 for me.
So I had them 5-6 of the bye. Forgot to mention that. I think they're going to beat the Saints. I think they're going to lose to the Jets. I mentioned that in the Jets video. I have them beating the Steelers. And then I have them losing out. I have them losing to Cincinnati, losing to Tampa Bay, and then losing to New England. They would finish 7-10. And once Ben is done, I'll mention their over/under.
All right. I'll make it nice and easy for you guys here. I have them beating the Saints, and then I have them losing out the rest of the season. So basically, after that first 4-game stretch, it is just going to be misery for them. And that's why I told you guys yesterday it was going to be fun, because they're going to go into that season. They're going to be really happy. They're going to say, we're 4-0. Maybe we'll make the playoffs. McDaniel's finally going to prove himself as the head coach. He's our guy. And then they're going to win 2 games the rest of the season. So I'm right there with you, Ryan. We just got there in completely different ways.
Yeah. I will say, on paper, this looks like a very doable, schedule for them. It's not necessarily the hardest in the world outside of, just a couple matchups. You know what I mean? Like, there's a world where they split with the Bills. There's a world where, you know what I mean, they start that 4-0, maybe even 5-0. I think they can compete with the Chargers. You know what I mean? Like, there's a world, but at the end of the day, I just don't like this roster right now, the way that it's built. Matt was going over it right now. I'm just not a fan of it. And overall, the teams that they play are heavily based on against, what they have built right now. And this might be the end of Mike McDaniel in Miami. It's going to be exciting.
So their over/under right now on FanDuel is 8.5 at +160 is the over, and Major Juice minus 190 to the under. So I have them 7-10. You guys each have them 6-11, correct? And Ben has them starting 4-0. Let me ask this question. Let me kind of branch off of it. We all don't see this team as a playoff team. But what is more likely to the Miami Dolphins end of the season, where you were entering 2026, the calendar year? Are the Dolphins more likely to be picking in the top 5 or being a playoff team? Is my question.
Top 5. Are you having a Tua conversation at the end of this because of a top 5 pick?
He's making way too much money.
I'm just talking out loud because what was this team? 2-3 years ago, they were scoring 70 points against the Broncos. And now we're all kind of because I would agree with you, Ryan. I predict this team to be a top 5 pick rather than a playoff team. And it's it's crazy to see. Again, it speaks to this is what happens if you just continue to trade for major pieces. They traded for Chubb, they traded for Hill, they traded for Jalen Ramsey, and they drafted poorly. This continues to just show the stretch that you go down if you just keep replenishing veterans in a way and you can't draft well. So yes.
You wanna know, and I'll just add on to my bold takes really quick, because I know last week I had one. But this week my bold take is that Tyreek Hill will not be a Dolphin at the end of the season. I think that he's kind of passive aggressive with almost trade requests and what maybe isn't a trade request. At the end of the day, maybe that 4-0 stretch works pretty well, whatever, right? But by the trade deadline, something's going to happen in which this guy is not happy, And at the end of the day, I think that he's going to be looking for a team towards the end of the year, or his career, that's going to be more of a Super Bowl contender that can, hopefully move him into another playoff scenario by the end of his career. And Miami's not that. And I think that we all can agree on that.
Absolutely. And my thing is to your point, Matt, you're a team that of career's tenure here, and your hits that have turned out to be good pretty much aren't with the team anymore. Look at Robert Hunt. Look at where Holland is at. Your few guys that you do actually draft well leave. They're gone because you don't have the money to be able to pay them in the first place, because you are going out and making those big trades. So if you can't draft well and you're trading for these high guys And then on top of that, you can't pay the few guys that you actually do hit on. It's just a recipe for a disaster.
Yep. So I think that does it for our Dolphins schedule prediction. So those of you on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Now, the Bills. Matt, why don't you give us a little bit more on the Bills?
The Buffalo Bills, 13-4, first in the division, lost in the championship game to who else? Kansas City. They had their best offensive EPA season in the Josh Allen era, which was kind of surprising. They were second, .186 behind only Baltimore. Their pass block win rate was surprisingly fourth. I thought they were the best O-line in football last year. I think it was jostling between them and the Eagles, personally. And then their run block win rate was kind of subpar, 17th. But with their pass block and what they were able to protect Josh Allen with was very spectacular. And their health luck was really good. Their defensive EPA per play was right at like the margin. They were in the negative, but negative 0.004, so 12th in the league. And then their pass rush win rate was 45%, 6th. Run stop win rate was 33%, 5th. Those are ESPN analytics. And then we get into Josh Allen's season, of course. MVP, .321 EPA per play, first in the league. That includes what he can do on the ground. He is a very efficient runner. 52.2% success rate, 6th in the league. So, yeah, again, he's not as efficient, brutally, down to down, but he provides explosives, and that is what you're in the chase for in the NFL right now. Their offseason was pretty simple. I loved it. They extended all their young guys who were good. Josh Allen got a new extension. Not really young, but after him, Greg Rousseau is a draft hit. They extended. Christian Benford is a draft hit. They extended. Khalil Shakir was a draft hit. They extended. Terrell Bernard was a draft hit. They extended. You get my point. And then they brought back Ty Johnson, that kind of a third down running back, and DeMar Hamlin. Those contracts all will age pretty well. I think they all attached void years with most of them, so we'll see how those kind of shape out. And then their free agency, they kind of they brought in Joey Bosa. They swapped out Von Miller for Joey Bosa. They swapped out Mac Hollins for Josh Palmer. They brought in Michael Hoyt, who is an edge rusher from the Rams. They brought in Larry Ogunjobi for a $7 million a year contract. They brought back Trey White. They brought back Dane Jackson in the secondary, and then they took a flyer on Elijah Moore. And then their draft, they took Maxwell Hairston, much to Ben's chagrin. I know Ben was not a fan of Hairston. And then the rest of their draft, they just volume drafted defensive back and defensive line. They traded up for TJ Sanders with the Bears, I believe. They drafted Landon Jackson in the 3rd round. I thought it was a pretty good value pick where they got him.
Oh, yeah.
They drafted Deion Walker, who did you and I both not rank him, Ben, in our D tackle rankings?
Yes, he was. He was
unranked
both
him.
unranked.
Yeah, we were both unranked, but not because we don't think the player is good, but because he was truly I need to see where he lands. I like him in Buffalo, and I like the 4th round flyer. So that's kind of where I'm at with this player. And then just lobbing it in. Dorian Strong, Virginia Tech corner. He was a top 75.
Yeah!
They got
I
him
loved
in the
him.
6th round, so I kind of had to throw that in. And their departures, again, it's out with the old, in with the new. Von Miller's gone. Played less than 300 snaps for them. Rasul Douglas is gone, 800 snaps. You have a direct replacement in either Benford or Hairston. If you want to play Hairston on the outside, you think he can survive there. Mac Hollins, I mentioned, and Amari Cooper played 200 snaps for this team. Isn't that crazy? They traded, a 3rd round pick for him at the deadline. He played 239 snaps for them the rest of the season. So it's and was barely on the field for that Chiefs playoff game. So again, they kind of shuffled around, got younger, and that brings me to my outlook question. Pretty simple. The youth movement along the offensive line, they have drafted 5 different players. They are a 4-2-5 team. Base nickel is 4 pass rushers, 2 linebackers, 5 DBs. And they have drafted 5 linemen to rush the passer. They can help you long term, but how do they affect 2025? The Bills, no stranger to the playoffs, the big moments, the division titles, and also no stranger to losing to Patrick Mahomes. And so they have it figured out on offense, revolving around the son, which his name is Josh Allen. Defensively, it continues to be a challenge. They paid the price on Von Miller, swing and a miss. But Greg Rousseau came in and passed him for the better. And they extended him at a good number. $20 million annually for an ascending pass rusher is a great contract to me. And you bring in now 2025, 3 new rookies, I just mentioned, and then 2 sophomores, Dwayne Carter out of Duke and Javon Solomon out of Troy. So you kind of have these guys cast with roles in case, like I mentioned Larry Ogunjobi, I mentioned Joey Bosa, I mentioned Michael Hoyt. What happens when those guys go down? Someone has to play now. So it's going to fall on these guys to actually contribute time and minutes, snaps per se, and they want to win the Super Bowl. So, like, again, does this make Buffalo look smart right away? And, like, all these guys are good. We have 2 guys we found in this draft who are really good. Or does it take some time? And, like, you're relying in January on Larry Ogunjobi to actually play meaningful and play a lot for you. So that is where we're at with them. They're championship or bust. They're a hard team to really create a question around. They have the MVP of their league, the reigning MVP of the league. It's hard to create a question, but if they want to win a Super Bowl, they're following the Philadelphia Eagles model of depth in the defensive line room.
Well, speaking of following the Philadelphia Eagles model, I mean, my question, my season outlook question for them is, can they learn how to properly do the tush push? And then can they learn to not complain about it if it doesn't freaking work? Yeah. I'm sorry. I just had to take that jab.
It was a first down, man. It was a first down.
Oh, gosh, guys. He is having flashbacks. I cannot describe in words to y'all how mad Ryan, like that, like, even considering everything that had happened with the Bears, like, that is the most mad I've ever seen Ryan be about football. It was absurd. It was
top 3 moment, like, angry moment for Ryan with the boys ever. Like, ever.
I think it's top 1. But that's
I don't think so. Do you not remember the Bears crash out with what was it? Feely? Dan Feely.
But how far, like to kind of zoom out a second, how far this team has come from 1 year? Do you remember how we were discussing this Bills team?
I know how I was discussing them.
I know you were, but just like the media as a whole, how the Bills were getting talked about. And like me and Ryan were kind of like, we were kind of right there with them. We were kind of skeptics on this Bills team. And here we are now, 1 tush push away from them being in the Super Bowl and them having the league MVP. So
that matchup would have been so much better, man. I don't care what anybody says. Like, dude, Bills Eagles, man. Like,
guys, I apologize. I
can of worms over here.
Oh my god! Let me just ask my season outlook question. We'll get started with this. So your top 3 receivers, right? Khalil Shakur, Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, and then you've got Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, Laviska Shenault. I'm going to say that my prediction for this team is that they're going to take a flyer on another wide receiver, whether it, be maybe another chance on Amari Cooper or, I think the right move would be Keenan Allen. I think that despite the fact that he's not wide receiver 1 material for anybody right now, otherwise he would have been off the market. I think that he adds chain mover, the ability to be a chain mover rather. Options. Yeah, for Josh Allen. So instead of having Josh Palmer as your wide receiver 3, right? Like, have Keenan Allen be that guy. You know what I mean? I wouldn't recommend him in the outside, of your offense, but maybe more so like take him into the slot role to where you have like him and Shakur and the slot, and then you've got like Coleman, on the left or right, and maybe another deep option on the opposite side of him. Like if you're doing some kind of spread offense, you know what I mean, and you've got maybe a tight end that you can fit in somewhere as well. But like, if that's the thing that you want, I would feel so much more comfortable with Keenan Allen being in that offense, especially when you've got a guy like Josh Allen that's getting him the ball. I think Keenan Allen, I'm taking last year as kind of like a throwaway year for him. He still had a couple good games. I mean, against Minnesota, which I would say is a decent defense, 86 yards after 9 catches. Detroit, 73 yards on 5 catches. He had touchdowns in each of those. 1 against Minnesota, 2 against Detroit. 82 against Minnesota in the next matchup that they had. And then 141 against Detroit in the next matchup. Again, touchdowns in both. Like these are playoff teams that he was playing against. I'm saying, he's not going to produce like he used to by any means. And yes, I may be a little bit biased because I've been a Keenan Allen fan since before he was a Chicago Bear. But like at the end of the day, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, like I know you have a lot invested in Keon Coleman, but like, I would think, hey, if Keenan Allen's willing to play with us to try and get him on a Super Bowl winning roster, like before he retires, why not toss him like $10 or $11 million and be like, hey,
No.
I'm doing it.
No.
I'm doing it. And just saying, hey, like here's a 1 year, one-off contract. And if it doesn't work out, you know what I mean? Maybe not make the guarantees as high, but you know what I'm saying? Like cut him if it doesn't work, but you know what I mean? Like we'll see what happens. And it is what it is, but that's where I'm at with it. And I think it would be a lot of fun if that's the scenario that, ends up happening. Keenan Allen will be on a team, by the way. It's all a matter of just where he wants to go. So,
Yeah. Into the wide receiver stuff, I think just like from an organizational standpoint, you will hope that Keon can make that jump into being that number one wide receiver. I mean,
I was a Keon Coleman fan coming out of college, if you guys remember. So, like, I was high on him, and he kind of, I mean, he might just need more time to develop a little bit.
That's my thing. I wouldn't want Keenan Allen to get in the way of this. I really wouldn't.
Yes.
I think that it would open up more opportunities with him. I mean, look at what Rome was able to do in his first year, give or take. I think that Rome was the better receiver, but my thing is like, when you've got a veteran like that in the locker room, you know what I mean? That absolutely helps when it comes to a player's development, even if it's just a one-off.
Yeah. I know. You hope that he takes that step up. I think he will. He was basically a first-round pick. I mean, obviously he wasn't, but he was basically a first-round pick at that point. You hope he takes that step up, and if he does it, those conversations, we won't be having that same conversation. So I think so much of that pass catching, or I guess wide receiver, because they have 2 good tight ends, but that wide receiver concern can hopefully be alleviated if Keon can take that step up. He had 550 yards. Maybe he can get 800 or 900 this year. So,
yeah. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the schedule, though. We're just going to go row by row.
One more mini question.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't mention it, but like, is James Cook going to get paid? Probably not. Right?
I think he gets traded.
Because they didn't I don't think they can trade him because he's like, you're in the midst of a Super Bowl run. You can't really just like limit your options and say, all right, Ray Davis, you're getting 20 touches now. But like, it's interesting that I mentioned like all their young guys got extended outside of him, and he's around. Like he's at the mandatory camps and everything, and it's because he's on a rookie contract. He doesn't want to get fined. But yeah, that's just an interesting pseudo question that they're walking into, and I don't think there's a way they can pay him because he's a running back.
If I had to guess, I think he gets paid and I think he stays with the Bills, but I don't think it'll be for the contract that he thinks he's going to get.
What did Jonathan Taylor get? Remember this was a Jonathan Taylor thing and then he got signed mid-season.
Yes. Yeah, well, and that's what I think it's going to come down to. Is like he'll get paid, he'll stay with the Bills. It's not going to be for the $20 million he claims he's going to get. and that he's kind of toting around, being kind of, a McGrudgeon about, but I think he'll stay.
So, are we ready to go row by row, boys?
Yep.
Let's get it.
All right, cool. So, just doing top row, middle row, bottom row. Week 1 against the Ravens, I'm going to have them lose, and then they're going to win the rest of this top row. Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Patriots, Falcons. So, overall 5-1 for this top row. Matt?
I'll do you one better. I have them 6-0 going into the bye.
See, this Ravens defense is so tough, but Ben, what you think?
Yes. So I have them going 4-2 in this stretch. No, I have them actually going 3-3 in this stretch. I have them losing to the Ravens. I'm kind of that same mindset that you are, Ryan. I just think this Ravens defense is just so very good.
They're built
I have
to
them.
win now, yeah.
Yes. I have them beating the Jets, losing to the Dolphins, and then winning against the Saints and Patriots, and then losing against the Falcons.
Second row, I have them beating the Panthers, beating the Chiefs, beating the Dolphins, beating the Bucks, and then beating the Texans. Yeah. Yeah,
I have them beating Carolina. I have them winning their annual regular season matchup against the Chiefs. I have them beating the Miami Dolphins. I have them beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they will go into Monday Night Football. Or is that Thursday Night Football? Thursday Night Football, 10-0, and they will lose to the Texans on the road.
There you go. I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna have them win these 5 games against the Panthers, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bucks, and Texans. But it's funny that you made that comment about the Chiefs, because that's exactly what I was thinking when I did my schedule prediction. I'm like, this is the yearly. They beat the Chiefs. This is our year. Let's do it again. Let's do it in the playoffs. So my head was the same exact space that you were.
Bottom row, I'm going to make this easy on you. They're winning every single one of these games except for the Eagles and Jets games to end the season, because at that point they would have already locked the division down. I don't even think that they. I mean,
that
yeah,
has
sure.
you finishing them with an undefeated road record, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan.
Blue, yes, yep, they're undefeated on the road. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so at the end of it, they will lose 3 games in my prediction. So I have them at 14-3.
Wow.
I have them beating Pittsburgh. I have them losing to Cincinnati. I have them beating both New England and Cleveland. I have them losing to Philly. I have them beating the New York Jets. Me and Ryan are lockstep, 14-3.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
There you go. I have them beating the Steelers, losing to the Bengals, beating the Patriots, Browns, and Eagles. That hurts to say. And then I have them losing to the Jets, kind of the same mindset that you have. They'll have the division locked up. But I'm a little bit lower than you guys, but I still think they're going to be a great team. They're going to be 12-5 for me. And if you look at kind of the schedule as a whole, I kind of told you guys this the other day. They lucked out. Their 4 kind of like tough games that they have are all home games against the Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, and Eagles. Like that you cannot ask for a better schedule when it comes to playing these tough teams. They lucked out. I have them again 12-5, which is weird saying I'm the low man on them, but here we are.
Also, I just want to throw in. I don't know if you guys have it off the top of your heads. What did you guys have the Chiefs going? Because this is where we get into, could week 9 be a battle for the 1 seed? Because for me it is. I have the Kansas City Chiefs finishing 13-4 compared to the Bills 14-3. So that is literally a 1 seed matchup, and quite frankly, maybe the Baltimore one is too. Who knows? We haven't done the Ravens yet, but I just wanted to ask you guys.
I think I think Baltimore takes it. I think Baltimore's the number 1. And that's crazy knowing
you have them losing to Baltimore, right? So
I do think that the tiebreaker is week 1. Yeah, that's when it matters. This is meaningful football in week 1. We are absolutely privileged for that first week, man. That first slate is, oh god, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
All right. So
it is going to be great. I don't know what I have the Chiefs going just yet, but it's going to be close. I think I'll have the Ravens probably be the team coming out of the AFC, at least from the regular season here. But I mean, those top three teams are going to be an absolute battle, and it's going to be decided by a half game. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. So that wraps it up for our Bills schedule predictions. Just kind of recapping.
Their over-under was 11.5, by the way. Major juice.
Oh, take that.
Minus 160, though. So it's like, I would more predict them. Let me find it. What is their division bet? I mean, they're probably minus money to win the division.
They are absolutely minus money.
I would like that.
While you
go.
Yeah, while you find that too, that Jonathan Taylor contract that he signed was 3 years, $42 million. And again, I think that's I think James Cook will probably make a little bit more than that.
They're minus 260.
Yeah, but I think James Cook will be making more than 3 years, 42. But I think that's going to be, like you said, right, kind of in the wheelhouse of what it's going to get halfway through the season. He's going to sign that contract. It's going to be for less money than what people thought, but he's still going to be making good money.
Do you think he desires like a short term, like give me 2 years, 30 kind of thing?
I think if he doesn't get the money that he wants, if he doesn't get like the $20 million that he wants, which he won't, I think he'll probably do a shorter term contract. Yeah, like a 2 year.
20 million that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that wraps it up for the Bills schedule prediction. And then wait, remind me really quick. What was the Dolphins over under?
8.5.
8.5. Okay. Yeah, I'd still be taking the under for that.
Major juice on the under.
All right. All right, cool. Well, Matt, you want to go ahead and pull up our next segment here?
And who won last week?
That was Matt, I believe. Yes.
So Matt is 2, and then we're 1-1.
We've got 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me adjust it to a good size here. No, but valuable yap sesh on the Bills. Because that is a Super Bowl team, and like the Super Bowl teams you want to talk about at a good deep length because we think they could go all the way. All right,
absolutely.
Weddle, easy mode. You guys know the rules.
Everybody knows the rules.
Everybody knows the rules. Yeah, one guess. Everybody knows the rules. Oh wow. Oh.
Oh no!
So it's AFC young guy who's not tight end.
Oh God, I know it. I know this one.
Xavier Worthy.
Imagine what a snipe that would have been.
Yeah,
so he's really short. So he's not 5'10" or 5'9". So is short running back in that division.
Oh, this is
like. I don't know, like Jonathan Taylor. No, not Jonathan Taylor. No.
Oh.
Who's the
what?
I just gotta be Harvey, right? If
there's
rookies in here. No.
But it is a Denver running back. Estimate? No. Okay, yeah.
No, McLaughlin. Do you remember when they messed up? The back of his jersey too? Last year, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was
Not as bad as that Eastern Michigan kid. All right, hard mode.
We're gonna change hard mode. Okay, the winner has to go first.
Yes, that's how we used to do it. Yes, that is how we used to do it. It's not fair to me. I have to pick 3 every single time.
The snipe.
Exactly.
I had to use
my
pick on the
original
snipe.
guess of Javon Dexter.
Oh, dude, that would have killed me.
That would have killed you. that would have stabbed you.
Oh God! See, now I'm the one that has to suffer from having to pick after this.
It's nothing new to you. We did that how many times?
It's still it hurts every single time though.
Yeah.
We will say Devontae Smith.
Ooh.
Actually, Jahan Dotson.
Remember you traded a third for that guy?
25-year-old receiver.
I got
let's
it.
see. Who's 25? Who's 25?
I know it.
Who is 25? I'm trying to think of teams here.
Pressure's on, I know it.
Give me Puka.
Pressure
He's not
is indeed
25.
on.
I don't have it. That was in the South. That was Drake, to be honest. So, MC, I have to get it. 13 or 14. Can't be Seattle because they have just old guys. Arizona. Michael Wilson.
Good pick.
Got it.
Dang it.
Good pick.
All right. Good shit.
Good pick.
Those
Really
guys got
quickly
three now.
too,
Don't let 'em
because
get hot.
we're kind of making this back 5 minutes college football again.
Yes.
Guys, college football is coming out in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I gotta buy it.
If you don't do the pre-order, which I know for a fact Ryan will pre-order it and get the bundle because Ryan is back on Madden again. Boo
I
this
am.
man.
No, it's
Boo
good.
this-
You guys watched it. I mean, no, you
Boo
didn't, but you
this
did.
Man. Boo this man. Boo.
Dude, it's so good.
No, dude, I can't. Anyways, dude, it is
Good
2 weeks
game.
away. I'm sure you've seen it, Matt. Did you see like the difference between Bevo like this year compared to like the one that's gonna come in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
That is crazy. I am so here for it. Oh God, yeah, boo this man. The other thing too that we had talked about it, but I can't get enough. Thomas Castellanos doing the key handoff to that quarterback, it just cracks me up. For those who don't know, they brought in a 4-star quarterback, Florida State, O'Neal. I forget his first name. And they did a photo shoot of Thomas Castellanos handing the keys to the team off to this recruit. And for those who don't understand the irony behind that, Thomas Castellanos transferred into Florida State this offseason.
Well, Ben, I learned more about this. Apparently, Shador did this with Juju.
With Juju, which is awesome. I love that. Yes, I think that's fantastic. Him doing that with Juju, and that makes sense. Like Shador handing off the keys to someone, that totally I'm all for, because Shador, whether you like it or not, along with Travis Hunter, was the face of that program. But you recreating that picture with a quarterback that has literally not taken a single snap for your football team is absolutely ridiculous. I know it cracks me up. It is funny every single time I see it. And also, there's no way that man is 6'3". He is wearing cleats and looks to be an inch taller than Castellanos, who's like 5'10" or something. It's just, I don't know. It's funny.
I will absolutely be pre-ordering this like next week. I'm like looking at this right now. This is something
Madden
that's
or
happening.
College football.
Both.
The bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
because you do the bundle, you get it 3 days
so
early.
Worth it. It's so
what
worth
is the bundle? $100 or what is it?
It's 150.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not.
But you get all the bonuses and like.
Yeah, but like
so
Madden,
it's like $200 value, Ben.
And I get that, but we looked at it. I think I played 12 hours of the most recent Madden.
because it was buns. This year's different. It's good.
And B, I also I understand having all of that added value, but when I play Madden, if I even get the game, I won't be using all of these added benefits. I'm not going to be playing. I don't play Ultimate Team anymore. When I do college football, I don't do college football Ultimate Team. No, so all this added stuff I don't even use anyways. So cool, this $200 bundle that is only $150. It's gonna be $50 I wouldn't use on anything anyways. I'll just buy each game separately if I want to and save the extra $10.
That'd be
Get out of here.
savings $30, but whatever.
It's 70 and
I'm
70.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
All right, I want to stay on college football though for a second.
Yeah.
Nobody cares,
video
but
game?
like, yeah, Diabell won Elite 11 MVP, and that's like the Elite 11 is like the high school seniors, and he's committed to Texas. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then like I went down to deep dive. I was like, oh, who's won the MVP for Elite 11?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Keelan Russell won it last year, who's going to start at Alabama, not this year, but next year. Like, he's going to pass Ty Simpson and Austin Mack. He's going to.
Yeah.
Keelan Russell is very, very talented. 2023, Julian Sand, the current starting quarterback of Ohio State, won the MVP with Lagway was in that class. Damon Williams, Heisman bet. And then 2022, this is where 2022 is going to... Jackson Arnold won it. So there was a lot of hype around Jackson Arnold. He's on his second school. Dante Moore was in that. Malachi Nelson. 2022 as a whole was kind of a swing and a miss. 2021, Cade Klubnik won the MVP. Malik Murphy was there. Hook'em Horns. Quinn Ewers was there. Hook'em Horns. Drew Aller. So that's kind of... Walker Howard was there. Former... Was he a 5-star? He was high 4-star, low 5-star, something like that.
I think he was a 5-star.
2020, Caleb Williams won it. And then, like, Nussmeier was there. Miller Moss was there. JJ McCarthy. Drake May. Those are the notable names. I'm going to go all the way up to, like, 2017 because I think this is a good metric.
It's a good list.
CJ Stroud won the MVP in 2019. Monster. Like, it's huge how many players were there. Bryce Young was there, of course. Haynes King still in college. Hudson Card just finished. Carson Beck was in it, still in college. And then 2018 was Rattler. Rattler won it.
Yeah.
Saints legend. Bo Nix was in that class. Tua's younger brother, Tualia, was in it. Sam Howell was there. Max Duggan. Jaden Daniels was in it. And then 2017, that is when Justin Fields won it over Trevor Lawrence. So that was my first like Elite 11 that I remember like getting turned on to. And was like, I'm following this because these guys are going to be awesome, and they were pretty awesome.
That year they also did that.
One.
They did. Oh God, what was it? That year that Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence year, they had that football show, that high school football show as well, where they followed those like top high school football quarterback recruits as well, and both Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence were on that show as well at one point too. So like that was really fun, and I remember watching that show, and I think like that they've stopped producing that show, but like at one point Jake Fromm was on that show. It was
I can't believe Kirby Smart pushed Fields out of the door for Jake Fromm. I can't believe that, dude.
Look at that smirk. Look at the smirk on this guy's face.
The notorious 4th and 15 fake punt with Justin Fields against I think it was Alabama in the SEC championship.
Yes. Oh gosh. Oh, what a time! What a time!
Are we ready to wrap this thing up, gentlemen?
Yes. No, I have one more thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a secret for you guys. Nate Tice is the sports writer for The Athletic. He is getting a lot of retweets and shares on his most recent top 10 quarterbacks, and we are a podcast who ranked top 10 quarterbacks. So I wanted to get your guys' reaction straight on for this list.
I saw
this Jesus Christ! Right. No.
And I know there is like, I agree with like 9 of the guys here. I think outside of like Jordan Love, I think everybody is in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I mean,
I would probably lob Jared Goff at 10. I would move Dak up a spot. I'd probably put Stroud over Lawrence at 8. I'd put Goff over Lawrence at 9, but I'd have Lawrence at 10. But everything else, like, you could flip Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes any week for me. And you'd be right. I think Burrow, Herbert, Stafford at 4, 5, 6 is perfect. But I just wanted to hear you guys' opinion, especially we have an Eagles fan in here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I have not said anything through this point. For the most part, I think it's a fine list. But are you really telling me Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love are a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts? Like, I'm just so sick of it. I can't do it anymore. Like, I don't know what more he has to do, right?
Mhm.
Like, I had said it previously. There is no winning for him because he either wins it all and wins the Super Bowl MVP, where he absolutely blows out this dynasty of our generation, and people are like meh, or he's just bad, and everyone's like, aha, we're right.
Yep.
So there's not winning with Jalen Hurts, and that's kind of the point that I'm at when I just discuss him in general with people. I mean, you guys know where I had him. I had him in like that 6 to 7 range as is, but I can't. The discourse around him, I just can't do as an Eagles fan because there's no getting through to anyone because he can do all this stuff and everyone will just say, well, he had a super team. So there's
You want to
nothing.
know? You know where my head's at? Everything's fine except Love needs to be off of this list. Lawrence needs to be off this list. Goff needs to be on this list. Jaden Daniels needs to be on this list. Right now, he is a top 10 quarterback. I think that he at least just makes the list. Matt, for the most part, I think, you're right. Prescott, I think I underrated, I believe,
Yes.
when we were doing the quarterback ranking. So I would move Prescott up
Listen,
one.
my Dak Prescott, I think his, like, if you swapped Baker for Dak right now, and Baker now had to wear the star on his helmet, and Dak gets to go tear it up in Florida, I think people's opinions on Dak gain significantly. I think there's a lot of Cowboys bias in our business, and I don't like that because I'm a Dak Prescott guy. I love Dak
Well,
Prescott. So.
also, I'd like to revisit this because this was, God, this would have been 3 years ago
Baker
now at
was a
this
name.
point.
I threw out Baker because Baker was a name that people were really upset he was off this list too.
Yes.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
I agree.
No Baker.
But it's not to like toot my own horn because at the time it was kind of like a poop post more than anything. But Matt, I know you can look back because me and you got into an extensive, like, what would have been like a 2 to 3 day discourse on this. But 3 years ago, I said Dak Prescott and Jared Goff are the same tier of quarterback. And I said they're basically the same guy. And I remember, what are you talking about? And they're like, and people were mad.
Yes.
People were mad.
Yeah. I mean,
no.
Well, one gets to operate with Ben Johnson, the best offensive line in football, and a very buttoned-up offense. The other gets to
also operate with
Mike
CD
McCarthy. Let's run some of our West Coast hits. You know what I'm saying? Like,
let's not act as if Dak. Given obviously, I'm not saying Dak has a super.
I know what you're saying. They're in the same tier,
but
like
at
at
the
the time, like Goff had Goff was at his all-time low stock, and you said that. Remember that?
This is the list.
He was at his all-time low stock, but it proved
you're throwing
to be
Daniels
correct,
over
though.
Stroud.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's led a team that was arguably worse to a better spot.
In the weaker division or in the weaker conference, yes. I'm just gonna be hesitant on the Daniels thing. All right.
Yes.
I'm just
remember where we talked about Stroud this time last year.
Yeah. I'm pausing a little bit. We can like swap in and out, but I'm being hesitant again because I still think Stroud is tremendous. But
yes.
Hey, he threw double-digit interceptions, so now he's bad. Is kind of the discourse I hear.
The media
he's still top 10.
The media flipping on him is so weird because again, this time last year we were talking about him the same way we were talking about Daniels, and then it wasn't even over the course of the year. It was over the course of the last month that people were like, "Well, is Stroud actually even not good at quarterback?" Like, I don't know. it's the dead of, you know, it is the butt crack of the off season. People just need something to talk about, which is why we're having these dumb discussions about CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
So,
All right, gentlemen, I
anyways.
think it's time to round this thing off. Any closing comments before we finish up?
No, I'll say I think, I mean, this is kind of behind the scenes look for the audience, but I think the next few weeks, if we continue to have the news look like it is, we need to crank out some of these divisions. Like, so there's some bad divisions, like my division, the South. I don't think we need to spend too much quality discourse on the South to spread it out over 2 weeks. So that's just peek behind the curtain for everybody else. If the news continues to be, you know, Shaq Griffin signing for $3 million, which I think it's going to because training camp opens the middle of July, we'll do that. But that's just a heads up. I just threw out my division as a throwaway, but you know.
Yeah.
I
Ben?
agree. No, just enjoy the downtime. Obviously, we're all itching to like get, you know, to play football and watch football and all that stuff. But do enjoy the downtime. This really is the downtime of sports. Really, the only thing you got going on is MLB. So go root for your favorite baseball team, so long they're not the Phillies, and PCA for MVP. And I'll leave it at that.
Amen to that. This is the one time a year that the Bears aren't pissing me off. So, you know, I'm pretty excited about that. You know, and you guys should be too. This is a very calm Ryan that you're dealing with. You know what I mean? You don't have to hear about me screaming about how the Chiefs suck and they're not as good and devil magic that they're performing. But anyways, so without further ado, we want to thank Spotify for Podcasters, Regional Radio Sports Network, and Uppercuts Grooming for helping us grow as a podcast. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. If you guys are into video games, I'm live on Twitch every now and then under the name Easy Drip on Twitch, Easy DRIPPP. Look it up if you guys are interested. If not, cool.
I'll throw the Twitch description in I'll throw the link in the description.
And then, we'll see you guys next week in July. That's weird. How did we get here so quick? Enjoy the rest of your guys' week. And until next time, this has been the Pigskin Project.